Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Diablo 4 and we're going to be going through the top 5 best suits of armor for the Barbarian class. And so obviously this is somewhat subjective, but I think most people would agree that these are, even if you don't agree with the order, probably the 5 coolest sets that you can get for the Barbarian. Now mind you, none of these are microtransactions, so I'm not including any that you would be purchasing from the store. Some of those might be cooler, I don't know, I'm not going to spend money on microtransactions. And so we're just going to be going through them. Bear in mind, I'm not really going to be doing a whole lot of swapping around with pieces, so I kind of like to keep the sets all together. That being said, when I'm doing these on my own, trying to find the best ones, oftentimes I'll find one solid cohesive suit of armor that I really like, and then I'll find a helmet that I like to go with it. Because realistically, the thing that I am the most critical of in armor, and that doesn't matter on, it doesn't depend on the game, I am this way for everything, it's always the helmet. I find a lot of helmets, especially in fantasy games, look very, very stupid. So that's why that's the only piece that I would ever swap around. But we're gonna kind of just keep them all together in cohesive outfits for this video. So let's just dive on in and start off with number 5. Alright, and so starting us off at number 5, we have the Warlord Plate Armor. And so this one is one that I didn't find until rather late in the game. I don't know if it's tied to levels or whatever the case may be, or rarity or whatnot. But I didn't find this one until pretty dang late, up into the low 60s for the level and on World Tier 3. So maybe it's super rare, I don't know, but I do really enjoy this one. I think it looks pretty good. You've got a pretty comprehensive nature of this suit of armor, I guess. I like it in the red color. I should have been specific and said that at the beginning. Obviously, maybe that'll depend on your personal preference, but I think out of all of the color variants for the Warlord Armor for the Barbarian, I think the red one looks the best. It's got some screaming skulls on the one oversized pauldron on the left, and then the one on the right has some gold trim and some swirly skulls. Skulls being the key design element here. And you can see that we have silver and gold elements all over the suit of armor, and then, like I said, when we go with the red theme, we have that red underbarding, which I think looks rather good. This suit of armor is heavy, it looks brutal, it's got, like I said, a little bit too much of an edgelord vibe to it for me. I don't personally usually go for all the skulls, but I do recognize that it's a pretty cool looking suit of armor. And so that's why I chose to put it on this list, and those reservations aside, I think it is a very solid suit of armor that looks pretty dang good. Only problem being, if you look at the chest portion of it, well, I shouldn't say only problem. There's a couple weaknesses to this suit of armor realistically. A, the legs are very, very unprotected. I can see calves up until about the genital area, so that's not great for protection. The arms are mostly exposed, except for some oversized gauntlets and pauldrons, and on the torso armor you can see that there are gaps that you could easily stick a sword, spear, or any other piercing instrument right through that go right down to the flesh. So, as far as protection goes, probably a lot of fantasy weaknesses on this one, but it does look pretty cool. So that's the Warlord Armor at number 5. Next up at number 4, we have the Sovereign's Armor, and this one I like best in the blue variant. Again, it's going to look good in a lot of the colors, but I think this blue one just looks really, really good. This is another one where I didn't find these armor pieces until rather late in the game. I actually think it looks pretty similar to the Boneweave armor for the Barbarian, but between the two, I do prefer the Sovereign armor. It looks pretty cool. We've got a full face helmet, and when I say face on this one, I specifically mean it covers your full face and it looks like a face. We have some cool up-thrusting, kind of looks like an axe head on the top of the helmet. I'm not usually nuts about ridiculous ornamentation, but I think it looks pretty good with this specific outfit. Then we've got a lot of gold accents on this one, which makes it look rather fancy overall, and some like runes etched on the greaves that look pretty dang cool. Outside of that, like I said, the reason I like the blue the best is because the blue and white as the other accent colors on this one I think just really go well with it. Gives us that like light whitish kind of wolf pelt looking cape to it, and that going with those gold scales on the tassets just look really, really cool. At first I thought those on the hip were binoculars, but now I'm seeing it's some sort of a scroll thing, or maybe it's messages, given the fact that this is the Sovereign's Armor, which would make me think, or maybe not messages, but missives. That would make me think this is something owned by a ruler, some sort of nobility or something. Whatever the case is, it has some problems to it. This one actually has less problems than the first one. Our major weakness area is an important one. It's right there on the torso, so you can see quite a few areas where obviously you'd be able to pierce. But other than that, it is better. So the legs are better protected. You can see we've got plate armor going down all the way to the knees, with pretty comprehensive protection there. And then greaves coming up to meet it. We've got on the arms, we actually have a decent amount of protection the entire length down. Really, our only weak area is that torso, which of course is important. But like I said, I think it looks really cool. And if you're going for a barbarian character, sometimes you want to show a little bit of skin anyway. So yeah, I really like this one, and I think it well deserves taking the number 4 spot. At number 3, we have the Exceptional Armor, and this is the first first instance where I would arguably, if I wasn't just trying to keep it together for simplicity's sake, I would swap out the helmet, because I do like the exceptional armor. It obviously has its problems, but I think it looks pretty cool, except for the helmet. I do not like the helmet. I think the weird horn ornamentation with the jawbones and everything just looks weird as hell, and I don't think it serves much of a practical purpose, so I wouldn't do it. I'd swap it out for like the bone weave helmet or something like that, and then maintain the color. Again, with this one, I do like the brown color for it. I think it looks really, really cool. Kind of makes it look like Bronze Age armor. Yeah, not a lot to complain about on this one. It's actually pretty decent as far as plate armor goes. Mind you, we again have some weak spots that the Barbarian armors oftentimes have. That being, the legs are not very well protected except for up on the hip and on the outside. The whole inside and everything down to the shins is totally exposed, so that would be a major danger. The arms do not have protection in the middle. They're right at the elbow, so both of those are wide open and exposed. And of course, because our Barbarian is a little bit promiscuous, this armor does have full exposed midriff. So everything below the pectoral muscles is exposed there. So perfect thrusting height for most people who are going to be trying to attack. So honestly, I think this one looks cool. It fits well into the Barbarian theme, you know, there's skin showing. It also has a more traditional plate armor for the spots that are covered with it. So it feels right in the medieval setting. You know, right if wrong. You know, if you had a full suit of chainmail underneath this, covering the rest of your arms, your midriff, and your legs, then I wouldn't have any problems at all with this armor. Or even a real thick, heavy padded gamson. That would probably also satisfy me enough, because this would offer a lot of protection on top of that. But without it there, those weak points are just glaring. That being said, like I said, at the end of the day, it does look very, very cool. So that is the exceptional armor in brown, and it takes the number 3. Our runner-up at number 2 is the sturdy armor, and this one I want in all gray. I actually kind of fell in love with the suit of armor early in the game. I think especially if you pair it with two, I believe they're called falchions in the game, the one-handed swords, but they look kind of like a gladius. I really like the way this one looks if you do that, because it kind of looks like a gladiator outfit, and I actually genuinely enjoy it. I love the helmet because it's a pretty realistic looking, I mean, Viking era helmet, so, you know, mid-Iron Age, so a nasal helm of some sort. But we do have those leather tassets on the side, which are cool and are historically accurate, you know, sometimes. We have a lot of artist representations of such things, so it's possible that a lot of the iron nasal helms that we see oftentimes did have some sort of a leather or hide tassets on the side to try protecting the neck a little bit. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. I think it pairs together well, and it is very stereotypical Barbarian. But that being said, it actually offers pretty decent protection all the way around. So you can see our whole left side is very heavily armored, which would lead me to believe that that's the defensive shielded side or whatever, or shield side, the side that you're using as your guard, while your other side is your spear or sword or whatever side. So with that being said, on that left side we have a heavy pauldron that goes all the way from the nipple basically to the back of the shoulder blade, so offering full shoulder protection, and that looks thick, so I feel like you could hit that as hard as you want, and yeah, you probably break bones underneath it, but you certainly wouldn't pierce it. Underneath that we've got some mail with what looks like plate, I guess, riveted to it. It's always hard for me to tell with that style of armor exactly how effective it would be. Oftentimes if you rivet steel plates to the steel mail, it will end up just being a glancing point where you'll focus things right at the joint then and then stab through, or maybe even a weak point. But if it was really, really well done, hell, maybe it's much stronger. I don't know. Then we go down and, interestingly, still have the leather-looking gauntlet with the spiked top, so both sides for that are the same. You would think if they were going for the much heavier armor on this side, they would do steel for that, but whatever. Then our other side, we just have the leather for the pauldron, and then down to the gauntlet, and we once again have the spiked glove, which is interesting looking. I wonder how effective it would be in combat, but it definitely looks very cool. We do unfortunately have a very exposed right side on this. Like I said, maybe that's the side that you hold a big square shield with, and it protects it that way, and so the other side doesn't need to be protected. I don't know what the case may be. Our legs are actually decently well protected. Our lower leg armor comes up all the way above the knee, so that's actually pretty solid protection there. And then we have a mail tasset covered with what looks like either some sort of a thick cloth or maybe even leather over top of that. That would actually offer pretty decent protection against slashing attacks. You know, so not a whole lot to complain about there. Significantly better than quite a few of the armors that you'll find in the Barbarian class. So that's the sturdy armor. I genuinely like it, and it takes the number 2 spot on this list. Finally, at number 1 for the Barbarian, we have the fur-lined armor, and this is another one that I fell in love with early in the game. I genuinely like this one. It offers extremely comprehensive protection except for one weak point, so it's probably the best overall. And I just think it looks great, both aesthetically just in general and as the Barbarian armor. So it's a very heavy plate that you can see only has one spot that's not very well protected, or I guess two. The neck definitely could be more protected with a gorget or something like that, even a mail coif going over the top underneath the helmet, but the neck is exposed. That being said, it's a relatively small gap. Like, I wouldn't want to go in combat with it, but I could see how in a fantasy world a barbarian would not be that worried about it, especially considering it would offer great mobility for your head. That being said, the arms are totally unarmored, or totally other than that one band going around his gigantic bicep on the left side. Other than that, the arms are totally naked, which would be a significant weak point in this armor, especially considering we don't really have any comprehensive gauntlets on it either. It's just these small little wristband thing that don't make a lot of sense. Other than that, you can see we have thick plate armor all over the entire torso and the legs. You can see we are wearing some sort of leather or thick cloth pants all the way down to the feet, and we have plate covering several areas of that, so that would be pretty decent protection. The helmet is a pretty standard looking. Obviously, the horns on the side make it relatively unrealistic, but it's not weird for fantasy, so I'll allow it. Overall, really cool looking armor. It definitely fits the barbarian aesthetic. I love the huge fur cape thing. That looks awesome. I do this suit of armor in the orange variant. Obviously, you know, several different colors are all going to look good, but I really like the way this orange one looks because it makes all of your accents look a lot more like leather, which I actually really like pairing with that shiny steel look to it. So that is the fur-lined armor, which I've placed at number 1, and that is my top 5 picks for the best suits of armor for the barbarian in Diablo 4. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other suits that you prefer over these ones, or any notes that you want to add to anything I've said in here, please let me know down in the comment section below. But in any case, that's all for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.